Billionaire U.S. investor and hedge fund manager Dalio said he would rather own Bitcoin than a bond. In a recorded interview that was presented at CoinDesk's Consensus 2021 conference, the founder of Bridgewater Associates said if cryptocurrencies continue to gain traction, investors might decide to invest in them rather than government bonds.
I think Bitcoin's greatest risk is its success. As it becomes a bigger deal and more of a threat, let's say people want to sell their bonds and they want to buy Bitcoin. And they want to do that in a bigger way, like buying gold or something in a bigger way. And then there's more transaction. They lose control over that. And that's an existential risk. So, yes, that's connected. The more we create savings in it, the more you might say, I'd rather have Bitcoin than the bond. Personally, I'd rather have Bitcoin than a bond.
Omosuyi Temitope, investment analyst with Afrinvest Securities, joins us now to discuss further. Omosuyi, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. All right, let's start with that. Bitcoin versus bonds. If I'm to present this to you, a bond from a sovereign nation or a corporation with a fixed cash flow versus a cryptocurrency. Omosuyi, where would you go with respect? I want to get your take on what Dalio said.
It's your offer is quite tempting, but I would like to say that, if I was offered the same option 3 months ago, maybe I would opt for Bitcoin or some other comparable cryptocurrencies. But now, because of what we are seeing in the cryptocurrency space, I might want to hold back a little. Why I said I would accept Bitcoin 3 months ago was because, throughout the whole issue around Bitcoin, the headline risk we are currently seeing, you could tell the trajectory of Bitcoin based on some technical and fundamental analysis. For instance, about 3 months ago, we're talking about how U.S. fiscal stimulus is affecting inflation and how that brought about risk-on sentiment. When there's risk-on sentiment, people want to take higher risk because the fiscal stimulus is actually above U.S. output gap. So people took on risk and all that. So I could predict clearly that the next fiscal stimulus will push Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency upward. But now that the trajectory or the outlook for cryptocurrencies hinge on headline factors, that is what you get from news and all that, particularly Elon Musk. You know that whenever he tweets or says anything, Bitcoin moves in that direction, regardless of your fundamental or technical analysis. So it becomes quite difficult for me to say that I will opt for Bitcoin at this particular point in time. Although my argument is personal and is subjective, because, a lot of investors are looking at rate above inflation. That's why people are taking higher risk. For me, I might say that I'm a bit risk averse because I'm an investment strategist and I want to ensure that I optimize return on investors' resources as well as preserving their assets. But if you can take risks, why not choose Bitcoin? But for me, because I understand the fact that what level am I on the life cycle curve? That is, I'll look at my age, my income, and all of that. So for me, I would rather, for now, just do bond than taking Bitcoin because of the factors I've actually itemized.
Thank you, Omosuyi. And I would also go with bonds as well. I'm looking at fixed cash flows over a period of time. Cryptocurrency is way too risky for me. Let's move to Jobberman and this arrangement that they have with the NYSC to train 120,000 core members. They want to upskill. What do you make of it? Is it 120,000 over 36 states a year? Can that make a dent?
It's very important that we continue to address issues around unemployment in Nigeria. And I think this is a laudable approach because people will be trained to acquire relevant skills to the private sector. One of the major problems with the Nigerian labor market is lack of skills, structural unemployment, when you have jobs that cannot be matched by available skills. So training 120,000 people, I think it means a lot because an average person in Nigeria, as long as you're employed, about 5 to 10 people depend on you for financial support, moral support, and career advice. So if 120 people are getting the right skill and they have a prospect of earning better income, I think it will help in a way to reduce the level of poverty, and the spillover effect, spillover effect will affect their household, and it has long-term implication for the unemployment rate in Nigeria. So I think it's quite laudable, and I really think it will have significant impact on the labor market.
Omosuyi. All right, look, there's a lot of insecurity that's been affecting the NYSC Corpers because of they can't be placed around the country. I want to get your take on the CBN Governor, his message to bandits that they should drop their arms and, embrace the anchor borrowers program within the context of employment as maybe Nigeria's #1 weapon against insecurity. What do you make of that? What's your take?
So for the CBN governor is actually trying as much as possible to address one of the challenges we have in this country, which is food security. The major driver of the commodity price increase we've seen over time is food inflation, right? So if the CBN governor is looking at it from the angle of attracting that are currently involved in insecurity or mayhem and all that, there are lots of issues around it. So the point is, we want to attract people to the anchor borrowers scheme, which is very, very important and attractive. But from the fiscal side of it, we talk about insecurity. Is agricultural sector even attractive for people that are currently playing in that space? That is the question. It has to do with the image of the agricultural sector. So I think it's going to be a win-win if you are able to attract these people, the youth that are currently unemployed, into the agricultural space. But we also have to make the agricultural sector very attractive for the youth, because every person wants to become a banker, you want to become other profession that you think similarly attractive, or I can say sophisticated sort of. So it's a whole lot of issue. So it's not just about calling youth to the program, to embrace the program, but I think other issues needs to be addressed, particularly from the fiscal side, because the CBN is trying its best from the angle of money, financing, and other supports from the monetary side. But I think the fiscal side still need to consolidate the efforts of the central bank, the monetary authority.
Thank you. And that's my final question for you in less than a minute, briefly. With everything the CBN is doing, is the pandemic constraining the ability of the fiscal side to support the monetary side? Briefly, if you can, Omosuyi.
Yes, we know that the pandemic has been an issue from the outset, but I think the impact of pandemic on the fiscal side is tapering, because now the oil prices are recovering, but the only big elephant in the room is subsidy. Because I think about 2 months ago, the NNPC said there was not going to be a major contribution to the federal government coffers. So I think if we are able to address our spending problem, we have both revenue problem and spending problem. So if you are able to solve our spending problem, then I think we are heading towards
the right direction,
achieving a strong fiscal support.
Omosuyi Temitope, Afrinvest investment strategist. Thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate your time.